What if one decision to look younger or feel more beautiful could change your life forever? Today, we're uncovering the true stories behind cosmetic procedures that ended in pain, regret, and lasting damage. These are the cases no glossy advertisement wants to mention. Stories of people who walked in hoping for confidence and came out with consequences they never imagined. And before we finish, one case near the end may be the most unsettling of all, because so much of it might have been avoided. Bryan never imagined that a simple effort to soften a few lines would divide her life into a painful before and after. In 2009, she received facial fillers in hopes of looking a little fresher and more youthful. Only later did she learn that more than one filler had reportedly been used, including silicone, and that the material had been placed in delicate areas such as her forehead and cheeks. What followed was not a subtle cosmetic change, but a slow and frightening transformation. Her face became swollen, distorted, and increasingly difficult to recognize. As the damage progressed, Carol withdrew from public life, avoided mirrors, and depended heavily on the small circle of people she trusted most. The years that followed were defined by complex reconstruction rather than beauty treatments. Specialists worked to remove hardened material and rebuild damaged tissue, but recovery was long and emotionally exhausting. During that process, Carol lost vision in one eye after complications tied to the earlier filler damage and the severe condition of the surrounding tissue. She underwent multiple surgeries, including major reconstructive work using tissue from another part of her body, all in an effort to restore both function and dignity. What makes Carol's story so powerful is not only the suffering she endured, but the grace with which she later chose to speak about it. Instead of disappearing completely, she became a voice of caution, reminding others that cosmetic procedures are never as casual as they may appear in advertisements. For Carol, the search for a more youthful face led to years of pain, isolation, and recovery, but also to a hard-earned message about safety, research, and self-worth. Apryl Michelle Brown's story began with something many people understand all too well: insecurity that had been quietly building for years. After being teased about her body when she was younger, she became vulnerable to the promise of a quick and affordable transformation. When someone offered her illegal butt injections, it seemed like an answer to an old hurt. At first, the procedure appeared to give her what she had hoped for, but that sense of relief did not last. Over time, her body began reacting to the material that had been injected, material later described in reports as impure silicone, the kind of substance no one should ever trust inside the human body. What followed was a life-altering medical crisis. Apryl developed a severe infection that spread through her body and led to an extended medical ordeal. She underwent 27 surgeries, and in the effort to save her life, doctors ultimately had to remove both her hands and both her feet, along with infected tissue in other parts of her body. The emotional weight of that loss is difficult to overstate. A decision that was supposed to improve her confidence instead changed how she would live every single day. Yet Apryl's story is not only about what was taken from her. It is also about resilience. She learned to adapt, to live with prosthetics, and to speak openly so that other women would think trusting underground cosmetic procedures. For an American audience especially, her experience is a sobering reminder that cheaper does not mean safer, and that the real cost of an unlicensed treatment can be far greater than money. Apryl's warning is simple and unforgettable. No shortcut is worth your future. Mioku's story is one of the most unsettling examples of how the pursuit of beauty can slowly turn into something far more serious. Once known in South Korea as a singer and model, she began exploring cosmetic procedures while she was still relatively young, hoping to maintain smooth, youthful features. At first, her choices may have seemed no different from the beauty routines many people follow in the spotlight. But over time, her desire for more procedures became increasingly intense. and that is when her life began to change in deeply painful ways. As her appearance continued to evolve, medical professionals reportedly became concerned and refused to continue treating her. Rather than stepping back, Hang searched for other ways to keep altering her face. She eventually turned to silicone injections outside normal medical care, and when those options became harder to access, she began injecting substances herself. In the most troubling stage of that journey, she even used cooking oil in an effort to maintain the fuller look she had grown dependent on. The results were devastating. Her face became dramatically swollen and disfigured, making her nearly unrecognizable even to people who had known her before. Later, public sympathy helped raise money for corrective surgery, and doctors were able to remove some of the foreign material and reduce part of the swelling. Even so, the damage could not be fully undone. Hang Mioku's story remains a powerful reminder that cosmetic enhancement can become dangerous when emotional vulnerability and distorted self-image take control. What began as a search for refinement ended as a life marked by pain, regret, and a lesson the world still remembers. Pete Burns was never interested in blending in. As the unforgettable frontman of Dead or Alive, he built his career on bold style, fearless self-expression, and a look that instantly captured attention. For Pete, appearance was more than presentation. It was part of identity, performance, and personal power. That is one reason his cosmetic journey became so widely discussed. What started as a procedure to correct a broken nose gradually developed into a long and painful cycle of repeated surgeries, revisions, and attempts to perfect an image that always seemed just out of reach. Over the years, Pete became remarkably open about his procedures. He spoke about spending enormous amounts of money and enduring repeated setbacks in the hope of repairing results that had gone wrong or adjusting features that still did not feel right. One lip procedure in particular led to years of complications and reconstructive work, turning what may once have seemed like a cosmetic choice into a serious physical burden. Instead of presenting surgery as glamorous, Pete often spoke with striking honesty about the emotional and financial cost behind the changes people saw on the outside. What makes his story so memorable is that it reflects something deeper than vanity. Pete Burns was an artist who viewed his body and face as part of his public expression. Yet even that fierce sense of control could not protect him from disappointment. His transformation became a symbol of how easily one procedure can lead to another, and how difficult it can be to stop once appearance becomes tied to self-worth. In the end, Pete's story is both captivating and cautionary, showing how the pursuit of perfection can become a lifelong struggle rather than a final destination. Mickey Rourke's story is often placed alongside celebrity plastic surgery, but his case has always been more complicated than vanity. Before his appearance changed so dramatically, he was known as one of Hollywood's most striking leading men. Then boxing re-entered his life. The sport he loved also left visible damage, and much of the surgery that followed was tied to trying to repair those injuries rather than chase eternal youth. That distinction is important. Rourke did not begin with a desire to reinvent himself for fashion or approval. He began with a face that had taken years of punishment. The source text also blurred parts of his boxing timeline, so that point has been cleaned up here. Rourke had a strong amateur background earlier in life, then fought professionally in the early 1990s, finishing with an undefeated record in 8 bouts. In later interviews, he explained that many of his facial procedures were meant to fix the damage caused by boxing, especially injuries to his nose and cheekbone. He also famously admitted that he had gone to the wrong guy to put his face back together. That remark says a great deal. Reconstructive surgery can be necessary and still leave someone unhappy, especially when multiple procedures build on disappointing results. What makes Mickey Rourke's story resonate is the sadness beneath the public fascination. He was not trying to become unrecognizable. He was trying to mend what had been broken. But once the first repairs failed to restore what he hoped for, the line between correction and transformation became harder to see. His face became a visible record of injury, regret, and persistence, rather than a simple example of Hollywood excess. Simon Cowell's story stands out because it is not only about changing appearances, but about realizing when the pursuit of youth has gone too far. As one of television's most recognizable personalities, Cowell spent years under constant public scrutiny. Over time, his face became the subject of growing speculation, and he later admitted that he had relied on fillers and Botox in an attempt to look fresher on camera. What may have started as a few cosmetic adjustments gradually altered his appearance so much that even he no longer felt comfortable with what he saw. In interviews, Cowell said he looked at old photos and barely recognized himself, a moment that forced him to confront how far he had drifted from his natural look. The turning point became even more personal when his young son, Eric, reacted strongly to his changed appearance. Cowell later revealed that his son was in hysterics, and that painful response helped him decide enough was enough. He had the filler dissolved and chose to step away from the cosmetic habits that had begun to define his public image. Since then, he has spoken more openly about focusing on health, balance, and a more natural approach rather than trying to chase a younger face at any cost. Simon Cowell's experience resonates because it reflects a pressure many public figures feel, especially as they grow older in front of the world. His story is a reminder that the desire to look younger can become overwhelming, but self-awareness can still arrive in time to change course. That honesty is what gives his story weight, turning a celebrity makeover narrative into a cautionary lesson about limits, identity, and perspective. Yulia Tarasevich, sometimes written as Julia Tarasevich in English-language retellings, was already admired for her beauty before cosmetic surgery entered the picture. A pageant runner-up in Russia, she reportedly sought a more refreshed appearance rather than a dramatic reinvention. That distinction matters. She was not trying to become someone else, she was trying to preserve the version of herself she already knew. She underwent a facelift, eyelid surgery, and liposuction at a clinic in Krasnodar, expecting a subtle, polished result. Instead, she emerged with complications that were both visible and deeply distressing. Reports about her case say she was left unable to fully close her eyes or smile properly after the procedure. Her face became swollen, and she later required urgent follow-up care to protect her eyes. In public comments, Yulia insisted that she had come to the clinic with a healthy face and only wanted age-related concerns softened. The doctors reportedly disputed her claims and suggested a rare underlying condition played a role, which she strongly rejected. That dispute became part of the reason her story spread so widely. It was not only about a disappointing outcome, but also about accountability, blame, and the emotional pain of feeling that something deeply personal had been taken from her. For viewers, Yulia's case is especially unsettling because it challenges the comforting idea that a small refresh is always low risk. Her experience suggests the opposite. Even a procedure marketed as routine can affect basic facial function, expression, and identity. And when the face changes in ways a person never chose, the damage is not merely cosmetic, it reaches into confidence, daily comfort, and the way one meets the world. These stories are a powerful reminder that the search for beauty can sometimes come at a far greater cost than anyone expects. Behind the promise of a quick transformation, there can be lasting pain, regret, and consequences that never fully fade. If this video stayed with you, be sure to subscribe and join us for more true stories that matter. And before you go, tell us in the comments which story shocked you the most and why.